Okay, let us start. ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापगतमनं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य श्री राधा कृष्ण पादां सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितां नमामि कृष्ण पादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावतन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदाय कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरकृष्णे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरव हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरूदीनतारिणम् परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरे कृष्ण। So we are discussing from 6th canto, first chapter, text 31 onwards. Vikarsato antar hridayad dasi patim ajamilam
दासे पते मजा मिलान
yama prishyan vishnuduta
यम प्रेष्यान विष्णुदूता
varayam asurojasa.
वारयामासुरोजसा
The other carriers of Yamaraj were snatching the soul from the core of the heart of Ajamila, the husband of the prostitute. But with resounding voices, the messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnudutas, forbade them to do so. But a Vaishnav, one who has surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, is always protected by Lord Vishnu's order carriers. Because Ajamila had chanted the holy name of Narayana, the Vishnudutas not only immediately arrived on the spot, but also at once ordered the Yamadutas not to touch him by speaking with resounding voices. The Vishnudutas threatened to punish the Yamadutas if they continued trying to snatch Ajamila's soul from his heart. The other carriers of Yamaraj have jurisdiction over all the sinful living entities, but the messengers of Lord Vishnu The Vishnudutas are capable of punishing anyone, including Yamaraj, if he wrongs a Vaishnava. Materialistic scientists do not know where to find the soul within the body with their material instruments. But this verse clearly explains that the soul is within the core of the heart, Hridaya. It is from the heart that the Yamadutas were extracting the soul of Ajamila. Similarly, we learn that the super soul, Lord Vishnu, is also situated within the heart. Ishvara sarva bhutana tishtati. In the Upanishads, it is said that the super soul and the individual soul are living in the same tree of the body as two friendly birds. The super soul is said to be friendly because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind to the original soul that when the original soul transmigrates from one body to another, the Lord goes with him. Furthermore, according to the desire and karma of the individual soul, the Lord, through the agency of Maya, creates another body for him. The heart of the body is a mechanical arrangement. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 1861, Ishvara sarva bhutana Diddeshe Arjuna tishtati Ramayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani mayani. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of the living entities, all the living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. Yantra means a machine, such as an automobile. The driver of the machine of the body is the individual soul, who is also its director or proprietor. But the supreme proprietor is the supreme personality of Godhead. One's body is created through the agency of Maya, karmanadai vanitrena, and according to one's activities in this life, another vehicle is created again under the supervision of Devi Maya. Devi Yesha Gunamani Mama Maya Duratya. At the appropriate time, one's next body is immediately chosen, and both the individual soul and the super soul transfer to that particular bodily machine. There's a process of transmigration. During transmigration from one body to the next, the soul is taken away by the order carriers of Yamaraj and put into a particular type of hellish life, Naraka, in order to become accustomed to the condition in which he will live in his next body. So it is explained that the Yamadutas they have powers to catch the subtle body, not directly the soul, and they snatch and catch and drag the subtle body. And because the soul is absolutely attached to the subtle body, the soul follows. That is why it is said that they have jurisdiction over sinful entities. Well, interestingly, pure devotees of the Lord do not have a subtle body. Their subtle body is dissolved by their practice of Krishna consciousness. So the Yamadutas don't have anything to catch, anyways. But here we see in this pastime, in this episode, even practicing devotees who are still conditioned are also not touched by the Yamadutas. So we see that the practice of Krishna consciousness opens up more and more opportunities. Here, as soon as the Supreme Lord had noticed that some attempt from the side of Ajamila to come towards him, immediately the Lord gave Ajamila another opportunity. We were reading last time, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation, that now Ajamila was calling out for the name of his son, Narayan. Because of his previous practice of bhakti, which had been long forgotten and dust covered, while calling out the name of his son and Narayan and referring to his son Narayan, he started remembering the Supreme Lord Narayan. That is the reason that the Vishnu Das had come. So here was some attempt to go towards Krishna. Very small, not very, and rather unintentional. He never intended to call out the Supreme Lord. He did call out his son's name. But all of a sudden, the remembrance of the Supreme Lord came all of a sudden. This is the glory and the beauty of bhakti. So, bhakti always, so any amount of bhakti which is done never goes in vain. Why? Because you see that whatever bhakti will do, the difference between bhakti and material credits is what? At the bhakti always clicks at the right moment. Everything what Ajamila had done for more than half a century was very sinful because he was 88 and he got distracted and degraded when he was young itself. So it will be more than a century, half a century. So, but at this precarious hour, when he was needing his bhakti credits the most, immediately those bhakti credits come to his rescue and immediately precipitated in the form of the remembrance of Krishna, which was never planned and never sought for, but accidentally taken place, which is what saved him. Therefore, actually, bhakti becomes the saving grace at the hour of need. Whereas material assets, the nature of the material assets is what? That they will remain all the other time. And when there is a time of need, that time it will fall apart. And bhakti is just opposite. All the other time it may appear that bhakti is not taken me any much ahead, no substantial, no breakthrough, mystical, enigmatic effect. But at the time of the need, the bhakti shows the saving grace, manifests the saving grace. Whereas all material assets, they, they just fall apart, and that's why Bhagavatam calls it as fallible soldiers. Because at the time of the need, they just fall apart, and the person is in disgrace. So, this is what we can see. And this little bit of attempt gave increased the opportunities for Ajamila. So he's going to get 12 full years to intensify his practices of Krishna consciousness. We can also see Prabhupada is mentioning here that according to the desire and karma of the individual soul gets a new body. So, now, so basically, desires which come to manifestation, they decide what is karma. So when it says here according to desire and karma, it is ultimately what the jiva wants, because karma is nothing but what the desire already manifests. So desires which are manifested, they become karma. So when it says that karma and desire from the next body, actually it is all desires. Because karma is nothing but the manifestation of desires which are brought to fulfillment. At least not fulfillment, may or may not be fulfilled, but brought to manifestation. The desires are brought to the action plane or the physical plane, the manifested plane. So that is one thing which we can see. Another thing which Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here is that the living entities, they are so after the death, they are taken by the Yamadutas into a particular naraka where they get accustomed to that type of body they are going to get next. So, see what happens if one is accustomed to it. If one is accustomed to it, one will be able to tolerate it with least amount of pain. But if one is not accustomed to it, it is going to be very miserable. Like say, for example, some people are accustomed to a lot of physical hard work. Then given a situation of physical hard work, they are just able to handle it and they can go on normally. So even after that one day of physical hard work, next day again they can be back in next. Because they're accustomed to it. But one who is not accustomed to it, one day of physical hard work or exposure to the sun or countryside or whatever, then they are down for 1 week. They are not accustomed to it. So the pain and misery quotient becomes too much. That way we can see that okay, Krishna is actually and factually in all ways facilitating the jiva. So even though the jiva wants to go into the ghastly body, which is dangerous and nefarious, I mean, it is dangerous and very dangerous. The Lord still gives some amount of training so that the pain experienced in that ghastly body is minimum. See, even health are doing this very good purpose, or even the health are serving this very good purpose. So, yes, let's read further. 32, 6, 132. Uchoर्निषेधितस्तांस्ते वैवस्वता पुरासरः केयूयं प्रतिषेधारो धर्मराजस्य शासनम्. When the ardent carriers of Yamaraj, the son of the sun god, were thus forbidden, they replied, "Who are you, sirs, that have the audacity to challenge the jurisdiction of Yamaraj?" But according to the sinful activities of Ajamila, he was within the jurisdiction of Yamaraj, the supreme judge appointed to consider the sins of the living entities. When forbidden to touch Ajamila, the order carriers of Yamaraj were surprised because they had never been hindered in the execution of their duty by anyone within the three worlds. So we see the Yamadutta, they got very, very disturbed. They got very much bolder. It was beyond their capacity to handle. See, this goes to show that these are all basically subtle sense gratification. So they were attached to their powers. No? And the power was disempowered. They could not handle it and take it off. So they got completely bewildered and bowled out in that sense. Well, this goes to show, you see, material things, whether it's gross or subtle, the more we become attached to it, the more we will get a shock. Uh, Here, the Yamadutas, they're having explosions within their heart. What has happened? What's going on? This, their authority has been minimized in that sense. So we see disturbance of mind is directly in proportion to the degree of attachment which one harbors. Therefore, a sadhaka has to be extremely cautious, not to allow oneself to get attached here and there. Okay, let's see further then. 23. Kasyava kuta ayatah kasmadasya nishedhata kim deva upadevaya yuyam kim siddha sattamaha. Dear sirs, whose servants are you? Where have you come from? Why are you forbidding us to touch the body of Ajamila? Are you demigods from heavenly planets? Are you subdemigods? Or are you the best of the devotees? Perfect. The most significant word used in this verse is Siddha Sattamaha, which means the best of the perfect. Siddha Sattamaha. In Bhagavad Gita 7.3 it is said, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid gyatati siddhaye. Out of millions of persons, one may try to become Siddha, that means perfect. Or in other words, self-realize. A self-realized person knows that he is not the body, but a spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi. At the present moment, practically everyone is unaware of this fact. But one who understands this has attained perfection and is therefore called as a Siddha. When one understands that the soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and one thus engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Soul, then one becomes Siddha Sattama. One is then eligible to live in the Vaikuntha planets. So the word Siddha Sattama therefore refers to a liberated pure devotee. Yeah. Since the Yamadutas are servants of Yamaraj, who is also one of the Siddha Sattamas, they knew that a Siddha Sattama is above the demigods and sub-demigods, and indeed above all the living entities within this material world. The Yamadutas therefore inquired why the Vishnudutas were present, where a sinful man was going to die.
Above ignorance, Sattama.
It should also be noted that Ajamila was not yet dead, for the Yamadutas were trying to snatch the soul from his heart. They could not take the soul, however, and therefore Ajamila was not yet dead. This will be revealed in the later verses. Ajamila was simply in an unconscious state, and the argument was in progress between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. The conclusion of the argument was to be a decision regarding who would claim the soul of Ajamila. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining one who understands that he is not this body, the spirit soul. Such a person is Siddha. And then when one engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, then is Siddha Sattva. Hmm. So Srila Prabhupada described that this word Siddha Sattama is very important. That okay, one who is the best of the perfect. But they are engaged in the devotional service.
इतना सिंपल लगता है नहीं सिद्धता मतलब जिसको पता है भगवान को पाठक पढ़ता हूँ और भगवान की सेवा करना करता है
Yes.
but it seems pretty complicated.
Mm. The best of the best.
Meaning of Saradharman poetry means Krishna should be the first priority. That's the meaning of understanding I am Krishna's part and parcel.
Yes.
I am meant to serve. शक्ति नहीं बल बुद्धि नहीं बल नहीं ऐसा कुछ है ना
Yes. So you see, the Vaishnavas, the Acharyas, they're always very merciful. But their greatest installment of mercy can be realized when we receive the opportunity to serve in their mission. That is the greatest mercy.
That
As
is
such, that is the greatest mercy. That they give us access and their grace uh, to serve the Lord, to serve the Acharyas in their mission. That's like best of the best. So Krishna consciousness itself is the best, and the best of the best is the opportunity to render some service in the mission of the great Acharyas.
That's the meaning of Tadera Charan Sevi Bhakta Sune Maha Janam Janam Janam.
Yes.
I think it's a Bhakti Swami Maharaj was saying, or you was saying. Now in the recent, no, in the recent times, Bhakti Prem Swami Maharaj was saying, कि भगवान का नाम किधर है भगवान का सेवा जहाँ कर रहे हो धाम
Yes.
तो बीते हम धाम जाएंगे उधर जाके सेवा करना है लेकिन पहले जब इधर सेवा करेंगे तभी तो उधर जाएंगे
Yes. सेवान्मुखे हि द्विवादो स्वयं एव सुहृदय. Yes. Question. Why? In case of Zamil, the smallest child name was Narayan. If one able to take it easily, then we hear that even the simple relations of the fact that they are present, that means is a difference. But if my God gives a last name which we replace that includes the history of Lord. Yeah, so you see, we understand that okay, holy name, even if chanted as a mockery, has an auspicious effect. Auspicious effect in terms of giving one more opportunity. So that way, auspicious effect in that way. So we know the chanting leads to more chanting. So so if one chants with mockery, that will drag him to chant a little better in due course, and a little better in due course, and that is how we see that a lot of elevators one will find. Krishna provides a lot of elevators, one can immediately take it up. So a little bit of somewhere start will pull one to the mainstream. That is the power of bhakti. Now this benefit is not there in any other yoga system. This benefit not there any other yoga system. So yes, because he was chanting callously, that gave him the gunpowder solely to chant fervently. And he reached to some level of fervent chanting. At least he remembered the Supreme Lord, and immediately the Vishnu Dutas came to give him further opportunity. Uh, so therefore the principle is that holy name chanted in mockery will in due course of time give one the push or the pull to chant it properly. So therefore, yena kena prakarena mana Krishna nivasya. That's the principle. No? Somehow or the other, one should invest one's mind in thinking of Krishna. So we do get cleansed. Okay, let's read further then. Now this is 34 to 36. Sarve Padma Palasakshah
सर्वे पद्म पदार्थाक्षराः
Pita Kausheya Vasasah
पीठदोषेण
Kiritinaha Kundalino
कीर्तिना कुण्डलिनो
Lasat Pushkaramalina
लसत्पुष्करमालिना
Sarve cha Nutana Vayasaha
सर्वे च नूतनाभ्यसा
Sarve charu Chaturbuja
सर्वचारु चतुर्भुजा
Dhanu Nishanga Sigada
धनुर्शङ्खसिंहदा
Sankha Chakrambuja Shriya
शङ्खचक्राम्बुजश्रिया
Dishobhiti Miradukha
विश्वविधिमरालोका
Purvantah Svena Tejasa
कुर्वन्तस्वेन तेजसा
Kim Artham Dharmapalasya
किमर्थं धर्मपालस्य
Kinkaranno Nishedhata
किं करामो निषेधता No Salah action. Interesting.
The other carriers of Yamaraj said, your eyes are just like the pearls, petals of a lotus flower, dressed in yellow simple garments, decorated with garlands of lotuses and wearing very attractive helmets on your heads and earrings on your ears. You all appear fresh and youthful. Your four long arms are decorated with bows and quivers of arrows, and with swords, clubs, conch shells, discs, and lotus flowers. Your effulgence has dissipated the darkness of this place with extraordinary illumination. Now, sirs, why are you obstructing us? But before even being introduced to a foreigner, one becomes acquainted with him through his dress, bodily features, and behavior, and can thus understand his position. Therefore, when the Yamadutas saw the Vishnudutas for the first time, they were surprised. They said, by your bodily features, you appear to be very exalted gentleman, and you have such celestial power that you have dissipated the darkness of this material world with your effulgence. Why then should you endeavor to stop us from executing our duty? It will be explained that the Yamadutas, the carriers or the carriers of Yamaraj, mistakenly considered Jamila sinful. They did not know that although he was sinful throughout his entire life, he was purified by constant chanting of the holy name of Narayan. In other words, unless one is a Vaishnava, one cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. The dress and bodily features of the residents of Vaikuntha Loka are properly described in these verses. The residents of Vaikuntha, who are decorated with garlands and yellow silken garments, have four arms holding various weapons. They are conspicuously they resemble Lord Vishnu. They have the same bodily features as Narayan because they have attained the liberation of Sarupya. But they nonetheless act as servants. All the residents of Vaikuntha Loka know perfectly well that their master is Narayana or Krishna and that they are all his servants. They are all self-realized souls who are Nitya Mukta, everlastingly liberated. Although they could conceivably declare themselves Narayana or Vishnu, they never do so. They always remain Krishna conscious and serve the Lord faithfully. Such is that atmosphere of Vaikuntha Loka. Similarly, one who learns the faithful service of Lord Krishna through the Krishna consciousness movement will always remain in Vaikuntha Loka and has nothing to do with this material world. Yeah. Hmm.
That would encourage intention that those effects forms like love Vishnu, but they never assume that they face peace or that.
Yeah, although they have got the form of the Lord, but they are always eager to serve the Lord as a servant. They don't want to take the position of the Lord. This is Vaikuntha consciousness. That one doesn't want to take the upper edge over Krishna, but one is just happy serving Krishna.
Along that, Radheshankar was mentioning on Balram Guru Madhapaka. Pray to Lord Balram, become faithful servant,
Yes,
faithful Lord.
yes. So we see in this pastime, one thing is very clear from this episode that no one should be ever fearful of one's own sins which you have committed. See, same is the case of a jiva many times because see the jiva is also bound by one's own conditionings and conditionings basically. So the only advantage to us is that because everything in this world is spiky, so even conditionings they give very high spike then they go down. So then there is some opportunity for one to practice raising one's consciousness.
Actually,
Yes.
it is mentioned further that here is a further person.
So one is bound by the ropes of conditionings. But one struggles and tries to take a step towards Krishna, Krishna will give more opportunity. That means now the ropes of conditionings give some space, and one utilizes that space properly, and one will be further the loosened from the grip of conditionings. It's the same principle actually, because Krishna, you see, Krishna is not biased towards any particular living entity. Krishna says that okay, if you come to me, I'll protect you. That is the point. So just like Ajamil was just about to lose his body, their ropes were catching, the Yamaduta's ropes were catching his soul, and they were just about to snatch it off. And the Lord arranged the Vishnu thus to stop them, so that to give more opportunities for Ajamila. Yes.
पावर ऑफ अटॉर्नी है जैसे राष्ट्रपति बोल रहे हैं इसको छोड़ दो भगवान ने बोला है
Yes. So it's the nature of bhakti that if we want to sincerely practice bhakti, Krishna will give us more opportunities. Therefore, a devotee should never be fearful of one's conditionings. But one should struggle to show to Krishna that they really want your mercy. And then, sure enough, merciful Krishna gives mercy.
And like you said, long back, like Vasudev these kids, because he was carrying Krishna on his head. That's why one by one all obstacles
Mm.
got removed. So that peace.
Yes. So Ajamil was very badly conditioned, so much so 50 years he could not chant Hare Krishna, he could not practice. But now, he has made some sincere attempt to get out of the conditionings. He has some sincere attempt to call out for Lord Narayana, and immediately has got opportunity. This is what every sadhaka has. Make some sincere attempt to get out. Sure enough, Krishna's mercy is there for us.
But Nanda Malaya se paap bhakti, that we should not do.
Yeah, sincerely I cry out for getting out of the shackles of the conditionings.
Yes, I think it's worse than Ajamil. Because Ajamil has, in his years, from birth to this episode, he has practiced. He's a full bhakta. So much. So because he sincerely practiced, तो इसलिए नीचे गया अभी तो ऊपर आ गए. हमने तो कभी इतना अच्छा practice किया नहीं.
Yeah, so therefore the point is that okay, therefore in the present moment, whenever we get opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness, we should practice to the from the deepest cores of our heart. Because the deeper and intensely we practice,
इसका संस्कार तो शत्रुघ्न था.
Srila Prabhupada explains in the purports you were reading last class that Ajamila had practiced Krishna consciousness in the early days of his life, and because of that practice, when he was calling out his son's name, he started remembering Lord Narayan. That is why the Vishnu Dutas came. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad explains in his purport, which Prabhupada is quoting in his purport. So that is the point, that the noose of the conditionings also will get loosened. Maybe for just for the time being, or just for some time, so as to give the jiva an opportunity to intensify one's practice. Yeah, Jamila was not offered liberation; he was offered opportunity. So Krishna will ask us to do the homework. I mean, we have to pass the exam, but Krishna will train us, and he will give us the strength to pass the exam. This is the mercy of the Supreme Lord.
Vijay Bhaja Tirtha remarks, Anil Putra Sneha, Anitra. Okay. Ajamil chanted the name of Narayana because of his excessive attachment to his son. Nevertheless, because of his past good fortune in having rendered devotional service to Narayana,
Yeah.
he attained the gender for devotional service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That remembrance. So this remembrance, where from it came? We were mentioning that this remembrance is Krishna's special mercy, unsought for. That remembrance came. Gajendra Maharaj, same thing. Where did that remembrance came? You were desperate here, there, everywhere. Where did that remembrance come from? Bhakti always comes to one's rescue at the hour of need. And therefore it is said even a small amount of practice of bhakti can save one from the greatest danger. What greatest danger? How bhakti will save? You can see Ajamila, how it saved him. That remembrance is the special mercy dropping from the Lord. He was not itching his head and scratching that, okay, which grey matter has that kind of memory which I can scratch out of my head. No. He was in Mohapasha only. He was not, Ajamil had no such any digging mentality to dig out each one of his grey matter cells and see where is that remembrance. No, that remembrance was dropped down by Krishna. Similarly, Gajendra Maharaj, that remembrance was dropped down by Krishna. So this is bhakti very powerful. The process, and that is why Prabhupada said, devotional service is so powerful. Once begun, one is forcibly dragged towards perfection. So, because the nature of bhakti is to drag one back to bhakti. That's the nature of bhakti. Therefore, we should do solid bhakti. So, do solid drag us when, if needed.
I was 27. That Pakistan. What is your? Rami constantly chanted his surname Narayana. He was elevated to the platform Bhakti, although he didn't know it. Although at the time of death, he was chanting the name of his son, he nevertheless concentrated his mind upon the holy name of Narayana because वो सेवा की है ना पहले.
Yeah, so that remembrance drop down. Chakravarti Thakur very clearly speaks about it.
Like proper disciples, because they faithfully served Prabhupada, तो पूरा जिंदगी प्रभुपाद के लिए दिए, तो थोड़ा गिरे भी, तो जब 10 days आए तो फिर से पूरा पकड़ लिया.
Yes, that remembrance was drop down. That is a special that is a speciality of the path of bhakti. Special characteristic of bhakti. Okay, let's go to the next verse, 37. Sri Shuka Uvacha Iti Ukte Yamadhuteste Vasudevo Takarinaha Tan Pratyucho Prahasyedam Megha Nirhara Dayakira. Sukadeva Goswami continued, being thus addressed by the messengers of Yamaraj, the servants of Vasudeva smiled and spoke the following words in voices as deep as the sounds of rumbling clouds. The Yamadutas were surprised to see that the Vishnudutas, although polite, were hindering the rule of Yamaraj. Similarly, the Vishnudutas were also surprised that the Yamadutas, although claiming to be servants of Yamaraj, the supreme judge of the religious principle, were unaware of the principles of religious action. Thus the Vishnuduta smiled, thinking, what is this nonsense they are speaking? If they are actually servants of Yamaraj, they should know that Ajamila is not a suitable candidate for them to carry out. So both of them were surprised with each other. Both of them were surprised with each other. So this kind of surprise can come in the life of a practicing sadhaka many times. Because many times the Maya Shakti arranges various situations in the life of sadhaka, thinking that okay, the sadhaka has been practicing since many years, he'll be able to handle it. So, and when the sadhaka messes it up, Maya Shakti is also surprised. Hey, so many decades of initiation, and what is done? And the sadhaka is also surprised. Hey, I'm practicing bhakti. Why these problems are coming in my life? So this kind of surprise is quite common in the life of a sadhaka also. So like that. So sometimes some problem comes in the life of a sadhaka. Now other devotees react thinking that okay, he is practicing since long time. So it's not on the mundane plane. So he can handle it on the spiritual plane. And when the sadhaka is not handling as per the spiritual plane, The other devotees are also surprised. But the sadhakas was also surprised. I landed up in a problem and Vaishnava, other devotees are reacting in a different way. Yes, because they were considering one to be well established in the spiritual platform. And then so in that platform the problem doesn't exist so much. And therefore the response was not like that, which could have been if one is a neophyte. Like that. So anytime this kind of surprise always lands up, but the only conclusion of such surprise is that surprises only come when one is not very fixed up in one's spiritual practice. So every surprise has to be translated into an understanding, and probably I was a bit more diluted in my practices, and I need to intensify a bit more. That band gap is what caused the surprise. So, see, the Yamadutas could have also thought that, oh, we were about to commit a big mistake and it would have been very sinful and blemish on the name of Yamaraj. And here the Vishnudutas, these great devotees came and saved us. Thank you very much. So, like that. But they were considering the Vishnudutas to be an obstacle. Like that. So, you see, this is the point that. So therefore, many times surprises in life, they are a calling that one needs to upgrade one's intensity and practices of spiritual life.
एक तो कभी भी डिस्टर्ब करते
Yes.
ध्रुव महाराज के तो गुस्से में आकर कितना
Yes.
तुरंत गड़बड़ हो रहा है वो एक चीज है, बट अगर आचार्य का वाणी सुन लेंगे तो ट्रैक कर लेंगे.
Yes. So Krishna will send the help, but the whole point is that are we humble enough to accept it? For Dhruv Maharaj also help was given when he got deviated, but he was humble enough to accept it. He didn't say this to his right. You are teaching me bhakti. I'm Mahabhagavat. No, he accepted. Similarly, Swayambhu Manu. I mean, he just told stop. So Maharaj stopped. So he accepted. Similarly, Brahmaji told Prithu Maharaj stop. He stopped. He accepted. There was a surprise in all these incidents. So Krishna always gives help, and if he can accept the help, one can transcend that particular situation and receive enormous mercy. That is why whenever problem happens, one should always trace where is Krishna's help and catch on to the Krishna's help, and then one will be able to cross over. Krishna will never give any problem without giving help. That's the point. So here you see help was given to Ajamil, help was given to Himantas. Because this incident became an opportunity for Yamaraj to preach to them. And that means till now they had never shown interest. Although Yamaraj might have pasted the device posters everywhere, they would not have enrolled. But now there was emergency device course which Yamaraj had to take. And they were all wanting to hear now, hey. Yamaraj took the device course for the Yamadutas.
After doing device also then getting
No, now he is going to take. Because the Yamadutas, they were very disturbed and they felt very helpless and they were very disturbed and they went to their master. And Yamaraj was ecstatic. He said, "Oh, now these fellows have finally come to attend the DY school. Let me speak now." So then he spoke the glories of the Lord.
The senior devotees are mature and new devotees are different groups. So they were not new. But maybe, yeah, of course, Yamadutas were junior to Vishnudutas, but they thought, oh, we are senior. So sometimes if we are disciple of someone, we should not think we are as good as our Maharaj. So, and we should not think that our way of is the only way, because we might find Siddharthamas.
Yes. That is very true. So therefore, it's a very beautiful episode here. Now the Vishnudutta starts speaking. Shri Vishnudutta Ujuhu Yuyam Vai Dharmarajasya Yadi Nirdeshakarinah Bhuta Dharmasya Nastatva Yak Achar Dharmasya Lakshanam. The blessed messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnudutta said, if you are actually servants of Yamaraj, you must explain to us the meaning of religious principles and the symptoms of irreligion. But this inquiry by the Vishnudutas to the Yamadutas is most important. A servant must know the instructions of his master. The servants of Yamaraj claim to be carrying out his orders, and therefore the Vishnudutas very intelligently asked them to explain the symptoms of religious and irreligious principles. A Vaishnava knows these principles perfectly well because he is well acquainted with the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Praja. Give up all other varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Therefore, surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the actual principle of religion. Those who have surrendered to the principles of material nature instead of to Krishna are all impious, regardless of their material position. Unaware of the principles of religion, they do not surrender to Krishna, and therefore they are considered sinful rascals, the lowest of men, and the fools bereft of all knowledge. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:15, Namam dushkutino moodah prapadyante naradhama maya paritagyana asurim bhavamashritah. Those miscreants were grossly foolish, the lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. One who has not surrendered to Krishna does not know the true principle of religion. Otherwise, he would have surrendered. The question posed by the Vishnudutas was very suitable. One who represents someone else must fully know that person's mission. The devotees of the Krishna conscious movement must therefore be fully aware of the mission of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. Otherwise, they will be considered foolish. All devotees, especially preachers, must know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness so as not to be embarrassed and insulted when they preach. Yeah, that is why the Prabhupada emphasized on reading his books. I was saying, distributing my books, you don't read my books, you have to cut a very sorry figure. Very embarrassing and insulting.
I don't accept the guidance of those who are practicing my books. Otherwise, even after reading books, I can check.
Yes, yes. So, no, the reading implies accepting, and accepting implies following. So, one is reading and not following, that means one is not reading.
Reading should follow the one who is following them.
Yeah, but the message of the Shastras will obviously show the route towards the devotees of the Lord. The message of the Shastras can take will take one to the devotees of the Lord. So somebody who has read Shastras will be following the and be subservient to the devotees of the Lord. One who is not has not read it.
That's why reading is not reading.
So that is the point.
Because we have such a big mess and they think they are following Prabhupada. Following Prabhupada is not just following his books. One has
Yes.
to understand the mission. And Prabhupada said, if you love me, cooperate.
Yes.
If we are not cooperating, we have not understood the mission. So we are not representing the Acharya properly.
Yes. All such people will have to cut a very sorry and embarrassing figure. The revelations of the Guru Parampara are in proportion to one's Sharanagati. Superficially, nobody can understand the imports and the insights of the mission. It is only understood with decades and decades of cultivation of Sharanagati and dedication and commitment. So, therefore, the devotee always wants to eternally serve the Guru Parampara. But then only one can understand the deep insights and imports of the mission of the Lord. So everything now, so that is why we understand. Okay, all actions in Krishna consciousness are based on one's uh, based on guidance. Therefore, Prabhupada explains that everyone needs to be in constant guidance all the time. Constant guidance of a devotee.
Like this person, very much because this is like Yamaduta is thinking that we are obeying Yamaraj, but they are actually disobeying because they have not understood Shankar. That's why when the person Bhagavad has come to guide them, the Vishnu Dutas are guiding them how to properly serve the master.
Yeah.
And then surrender is not a one-time process. We have to constantly check because illusion is so strong. We can again get caught up in illusion. That's why Bhakti Bhagavad is always needed.
Yes. So that is what that's the point, because actions according to the level of disciple. That means if one is following one level of instructions, that does not mean the person advances, the spiritual master will give deeper instructions. That's the point. And deeper instructions. So therefore, the devotee always wants to go on serving the spiritual master, because then only there will be constant flow of the more and more depths of the heart of the Lord, or constant awareness of the more and more depths of the heart of the Lord. And then only one can serve in that way.
Probably, what does that mean? It's written here, principles of material nature. Those who have surrendered to principles of material nature instead of Krishna.
Yeah,
So when you
principles
are
of
like
material
also-
nature are the modes, practically.
Hmm?
Principles of material nature, practically, that means the modes of material nature.
So that's why when our bhakti gets caught up in the modes, then we become impious, because when Krishna goes out of the picture, we are not Krishna, we are not Guru Prabhupada.
Yes.
Nritya Agnivesh start. When Nritya Agnivesh start, then there are fights, conflicts, disputes. Yeah? Then
Yes.
we become impious.
Yes.
So it's for us only this 7.15. It's not that, because we still have that Asri Bhav, religious and all, we are district and all. So because as soon as one surrender, then the mission grows.
Yes.
Surrender only means we are not surrendering actually. That's why we keep fighting.
Yes. All kinds of sparks, dissensions, surprises happen because of lapses in the surrendering process.
Because I was just hearing Guru Maharaj. That's right. So friendship among devotees is very essential. And this friendship can be brought only when we have our whole purpose is to serve Krishna. As soon as that purpose is lost, we start fighting wars, and then there is no end to it. Fire creeps in.
Yes. Yeah. So when one keeps the mission of the Lord in focus, then only there can be friendship. Correct. Okay, let's take up one more verse, 39. Katham swit dhriyate danda
Katham swadriyate danda
kim vashya sthanam ipsitam
kim vasya sthanam ipsitam
dandya kim karina sarve
dandya kim karina sarve
aho swit kati chinnina. What is the process of punishing others? Who are the actual candidates for punishment? Are all karmis engaged in fruitive activities punishable, or only some of them? But one who has the power to punish others should not punish everyone. There are innumerable living entities, majority of whom are in the spiritual world and are Nitya Mukta, everlastingly liberated. There is no question of judging these living beings, liberated living beings. Only a small fraction of the living entities, perhaps 1/4, are in the material world. And a major portion of the living entities in the material world, 8 lakh of the 80 lakhs of the 84 lakh species of life, are lower than human beings. They are not punishable, for under the laws of material nature, they are automatically evolving. Human beings who are advanced in consciousness are responsible, but not all of them are punishable. Those engaged in advanced pious activities are beyond punishment. Only those who engage in sinful activities are punishable. Therefore, the Vishnudutas particularly inquired about who is punishable and why Yamaraj has been designated to discriminate between who is punishable and who is not. How is one to be judged? What is the basic principle of authority? These are the questions raised by the Vishnudutas. Yeah. Properly explaining how it's a very small portion of the living entities are punishable. Many of them, most of them are Nitya Mukta. Those who are conditioned are not in a level of consciousness. They are in auto evolution process. Only the human beings. they tend to be punishable.
No, it means that advanced in consciousness are responsible.
Yeah.
Among the 4 lakh also everybody is not punishable. Who are advanced in consciousness are responsible.
Yeah,
Among
so
them
why they are
also
not
they
punishable?
Not all of them are punishable.
Yes.
Only Vikarma are punishable.
Yes, so why the advanced human beings are not punishable, or those who are engaged in advanced pious activity, they are not punishable? So the purpose of punishment is to kickstart the movement towards God. So one who is advanced devotee, or such a person, even though commits a mistake, will never stop his momentum of going back to Krishna. That is why no need of punishment, because already moving towards Krishna. So the purpose of punishment is to stop a person from moving towards a sinful trajectory and redirect that person to move towards Krishna. But somebody is already moving towards Krishna, and such a person doesn't require punishment. So the purpose of punishment is fulfilled.
But then that got the body who fought with Gajendra, that crocodile previous life, because he pulled the leg of sage doing some meditation or something.
Yeah, so advanced devotees are not punished. Those advanced in Krishna
But the
consciousness.
practitioners, they risk because
Yeah, so those
practitioners
advanced engaged in advanced pious activity, they are beyond punishment. Only those who are engaged in sinful activities. Because if they continue performing sinful activity, they will degrade more. So to check them, they are punished.
Yeah, so that will those who are breaking the 4 agreement principles, they will get the punishment.
Yeah, they'll get
But
punished.
that is not advanced pious activity.
Yes. So yeah, that is the point.
If purpose is following 4 agreement principles, brings us to human life.
Yes.
And we cannot maintain the commitment when we are not, we are animals, because only animal doesn't have the determination.
Yes.
And then Prabhupada is only saying like lack of determination because of excessive lust.
Yes.
That means ultimately we have to follow the principles.
Yes.
Determination.
Yes. That is true. Okay, so I think let's stop here then.
Next में हम लोग तो देख लो मैं क्या बोल रहे थे ये देखता
Oh, it's a big purport. We'll take it up next class.
या मेरी बात नहीं मानते ध्यान से क्लास एक का
We'll take 10 minutes more. It's a big purpose. Huh? Okay, Yamaduta Uchu Veda Pranihito Dharmo Aya Dharmas Tadviparyaya Vedo Narayana Saksha Swayam Bhur Iti Shushruma. Yamaduta has replied, that which is prescribed in the Vedas constitutes dharma, the religious principles, and the opposite of that is irreligion. The Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana and are self-born. This we have heard from Yamaraj. Purport. The servants of Yamaraj replied quite properly. They did not manufacture principles of religion or irreligion. Instead, they explained what they had heard from their authority, Yamaraj. Mahajano yenagata sapantha. One should follow the Mahajana, the authorized person. Yamaraj is one of the 12 authorities. Therefore, the servants of Yamaraj, the Yamadutas, replied with perfect clarity. When they said Shushruma, we have heard. The members of the modern civilization manufacture defective religious principles through speculative concoction. That is not dharma. They do not know what is dharma and what is adharma. Therefore, as stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, dharma projita kaito bhattara. Dharma not supported by the Vedas is rejected from Srimad Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma comprises only that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Dharma is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. One must accept the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender to Him and whatever He says. That is Dharma. Arjuna, for example, thinking that violence was adharma, was declining to fight, but Krishna urged him to fight. Arjuna abided by the orders of Krishna and therefore he is actually a dharmi because the order of Krishna is dharma. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedesya sarve rahame The real purpose of Veda knowledge is to know me. One who knows Krishna perfectly is liberated. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tattvadeham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. One who understands Krishna and abides by his order is a candidate for returning home back to Godhead. It may be concluded that dharma, religion, refers to that which is ordered in the Vedas, and adharma, irreligion, refers to that which is not supported in the Vedas. Dharma is not actually manufactured by Narayana, as stated in the Vedas. Asya mahatu bhutasya nishwasitam etad yad rigvedah iti. The injunctions of dharma emanate from the breathing of Narayana, the supreme living entity. Narayana exists eternally and breathes eternally, and therefore dharma, the injunctions of Narayana, also exist eternally. Sri Madhvacharya, the original Acharya for those who belong to the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, says, Vedanam pratamo bhakta harireva yato vipu ato vishnuvatmaka veda iti ahur vedavadina. The transcendental words of the Vedas emanated from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, the Vedic principles should be understood to be Vaishnava principles because Vishnu is the origin of the Vedas. The Vedas contain nothing but the instructions of Vishnu, and one who follows the Vedic principles is a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is not a member of a manufactured community of this material world. A Vaishnava is a real knower of the Vedas, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Vedesya sarve rahame bhavetya. Yeah. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada is stressing on this point that real dharma is not manufactured by speculation. So the Yamadutas were very correct because they just explained what they heard from Yamaraj. So that which is not supported by the Vedas is dharma projita kaitavo dharma. That is kaitava dharma that is rejected. So, and what is Bhagavad dharma? Prabhupada is saying sarva dharman parityajya is Bhagavad dharma. Basically.
So this manufactured community is the speculative dharma. People forget they make their own book, own slogan, own visions.
Yes.
That is all that.
Yes, self-concocted, self-manufactured.
And this is there is a line that actually there is I think that 1615 Dharmam to Sakshat Bhagavad Pranita. This is Yamraj was saying for the Dr. Yamraj. Dharmam to Sakshat Bhagavad Pranita. जो भगवान ने कहा वो धर्म है. What does Prabhupada mean by saying that dharma is not actually manufactured by Narayana? Prabhupada is saying breathing style. मतलब manufacture मतलब नारायण की existence से separate नहीं है धर्म ये बोलना चाहते हैं.
Yes, yes. The dharma is coming from breathing of Narayana means it has been eternally there, not that at one point of time the Lord manufactured it. So it has been there with the Lord. So it has been there with the Lord.
Material was dharma अलग चीज है.
Yes. So
I like this. One who understands Krishna and abides by his order is a candidate for returning home back to God.
yes.
And this is the translation of Dharma to Sakshat Bhagavad Pranita. Dharma means to abide by the order of Krishna.
Yes, to abide by the orders of Krishna. Yes, such a candidate can go back to God. Correct. Okay, so let's stop here for today then. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Very well. So next week we'll do our study circle in the evening, whichever day the KGP exams are ending, Wednesday or Thursday or